Good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Becoming the Woman of Your Dreams podcast with your host, Shakita Davis, here out of Houston, Texas. I have our guest speaker on here tonight, Dr. Shamarah Hutchins.
Hey, how are you? I'm glad to be back on.
Yes, welcome back. I'm happy to have you back on. Thank you for saying yes. This is your expertise and professional area, and I'm just so grateful that you're on here to help start off Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
You know what? I've been dealing with anxiety all day today. For whatever reason, I've just been so nervous about today. But I know once we get past this, but this is something that God is really doing. Honestly, I'm gonna say one to set myself free, to not be afraid. So I would take it as that and push forward. And thank you for being on here with me today.
You are welcome. I always say a little bit of anxiety is okay. If you don't have anxiety, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. So
Just a little bit.
You need a
just,
little.
just a little nervousness. I was on a phone call with my friend. I was like, I've been nervous. I've been having my stomach been in knots all day. But as soon as I got home, I just felt relief and pressure. I was like, okay, I'm home. I'm in a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've been waiting for this podcast to share with our viewers what it is to be mental aware of your health. And how do we do that? And before we even get into that, because I'm just like, so want to get into all the meat, tell us, what have you been doing in Cleveland, Ohio? I see things are just popping off with you. I see that you have a lot of things going on. And look, I'm going totally off the script, but just share with us what's been going on in Dr. Hutchins' world.
Man, you're right. I have been doing a lot, but it all pertains to who I am, what I love to do, which is mental health. I surround my life, making sure that not only am I centered in my mental health, but making sure everyone else is aware and centered in their mental health. So basically, obviously, I have the Serene Counseling and Wellness. That is my counseling center. The traditional way of doing counseling. You go see a therapist treats you, you get all the tools that you need, you go home. Then I have, I go to the Serene Athlete, which is my coaching and mentoring for athletes. I truly, truly am passionate about mental health and athletes because I was once an athlete who dealt with mental health issues, didn't have anybody to turn to, worked through it myself. But if I would have worked through it earlier, I probably would have been at a different stage in my life. But I believe everything happens for a reason. And now I can be that beacon of light to some other athletes. And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
and I love training and development. So I bring the Serene Foundation, which is my nonprofit, where I'm able to, teach the community about mental health awareness, crisis, how to be an advocate for your family, how to get through grief, understanding, generational trauma, all those different webinars that I can provide with the help of the people who support me. I'm able to be the extension of those people who cannot come to therapy. They can still get on a webinar and still get something to take home tangible with them to continue to live their lives and maybe potentially one day decide that they could come back to therapy.
Oh, that is very nice. And therapy is a good thing. When I was brought up, it was like, don't say nothing. What happens in this house stays in this house.
Mhm.
Ain't nothing wrong with you. Go pray about it. But you know what? We have to have a professional outlet to help us go through those things to make us better so we can be a better individual to ourselves and to the people around us. So, yes, thank God for healthcare professionals like yourself. Thank you.
No problem. I believe in faith without works is dead, but you got to have faith and you got to do the work. So
Absolutely.
spiritual work is therapy. Then you get through it.
There you go. Yes, that's a footnote there. Yeah. So, Dr. Hutchins, I know you are dialing in from Cleveland, Ohio. How's the weather there?
Oh my God, it's winter.
It's winter?
It's cold.
No
It's
way.
It's cold. It's cold. It's cold.
Oh,
I don't. It's May and we still raining and snowing over here.
oh my goodness. I was seeing, I'd never been there.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's just cold. It's not a place for me to be.
Just come in July or August. That's the only two the only 2 months you're gonna feel like you in Texas.
Okay, noted. I would definitely make note to that.
Yeah.
So, you know what, as we go in, and you did share snippets of to us what you have been doing in the industry and kind of who you service. But I really want you to share with us, how has the journey been being involved in mental health?
It's been a rewarding journey, but also a trying journey. Only because I say, like you said, what happens in our house stays in our house. And to be an advocate for ultimately my culture, I want to make sure that people understand that having, therapy is okay. It's okay to have somebody to talk to. It's okay, to get some assistance, some guidance. But once that person understands the dynamics of how therapy can help them, it's so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just going through the journey and understanding that every journey has its tribulation. So you got to go through the fire in order to get to the other side. And being a therapist is just like that. I have to go through I have to go through the people. The people are going to come. And it's those people who actually take the journey and wanted to make themselves healed are the ones that are really rewarding. So it's been an amazing journey. It's been a learning journey, only not for my patients or my clients, but for myself as well. Because dealing with myself, I had to deal with my mental health. And if I never dealt with it, I don't think I'll be at this point of being a clinical psychologist, because I'll still have issues that I needed to work on. And so being able to go through those issues myself, not only do I have lived experience because I've been there, I've done that, but I
Mm-hmm.
also have the, theoretical foundation behind me saying that, you can make it through. And these are some tools that's worked not only for me, but many other people, because that's what they're called, evidence-based practices.
There you go. Evidence. And you know what? And it's great that you realized you had to become a healed individual in order to help heal others in their journey.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what prompted you to start Serene Counseling Wellness?
Man, so I've been through like before I even like started the business, I went through like like three different names on paper, but I never did like the EIN or did it with the state. And I just kept writing them down. I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to be a doctor. Didn't know in what capacity I wanted to be a doctor. Thought I was going to be a medical doctor. Then I'm like, no. And so when I found the field of psychology, I fell absolutely in love with it because I started to understand myself. So as I
Wow.
started to understand myself, I started to understand the mind, and I started to understand people and understand, a person is a person regardless, and how I can
Absolutely.
help them change the dynamics made me just ultimately say, I'm going to be a clinical psychologist. And so as I was thinking about different names, like, oh, I'm going to do this name. Oh, I'm going to do this name. I started to think, I'm like, what is the one thing that I've changed in my life to make me who I am? And I always thought of the word, I just want a peaceful life. Peaceful, meaning I want a serene life. So everything that I do
Ah,
has serene in it because I want people to feel my energy. So that's my energy. I make people calm. I make people relax. I make people understand that I'm okay to talk to. I'm the person you want to talk to. I'm the
right.
person you want to help you. And so I thought about counseling, but then I also thought about mind, body, and spirit. So wellness. And so I always knew it was going to be counseling because obviously I'm a therapist, so I provide counseling. But I think about the whole holistic approach and I think about the whole person. So that's where wellness came in so that you can think about everything within your life.
Oh, that is amazing. And I never put two and two together with the name of with the name of your company. Wow, that's amazing. So I do have to ask, and I'll put this in here because I do want to know, what type of clients do you counsel majority of the time?
Man. So in the reality, I'm supposed to say I can do everybody because I can. But everybody has their niche and their love.
Right.
And so, like I said before, I love athletes because mental health and athletes is a stigma in itself. You see it all the time on the NBA, you see it all the time in NFL, even college. So
Yes.
it's there. But I also like women empowerment, working through that imposter syndrome, working through that self-confidence, working through that self-esteem. I love helping women to establish and see themselves in a different light and feel like they can take over the world, because guess what? We do everything, so we can take over the world. You just have to have that confidence inside you. So I love that, but I also love business owners. Why? Because it's a different mindset. It's a different mindset of a different grind. And I have to continue to build my mindset. How can I do mindset development? How can I have positive mindset? How can I have a mindset of gratitude? How can I have a mindset of growth? So I like navigating mindset development with business owners, even women, and even athletes. So those are my meat and potatoes, but I obviously love kids. So, deal with anxiety and depression and aspects like that. But those are my three tops.
Well, that's good. Today I was reading an article because I was just doing research and trying to make sure that I have enough information and content coming on tonight. And I was reading Samal Blau's story on how she decided to stand up when she stepped down from the Olympics because of her mental health. And she had got backlash from it, but she knew that her mental health was way more important than what everyone else thinks or thought of her. And being in business, it comes with a lot of stress, anxiety, deadlines, pressure, being here, being there. It's like you really don't take time out for yourself. And then sometimes you just overwork yourself into a place to where, you know what, how did I get here? And I was there at one point in time and had help with like, okay, you got to get out of that place. You got to take care of yourself. You got to be able to be whole. You have to be clear minded. You have to be able to move, have movement. Because it's true, where the mind goes, the body follows. So that is a true statement to scripture as well. Where is it? I'm not sure, but I know it's one, okay?
Right.
Yes. So, can you explain what are triggers in displaced anger?
Man, I love, love, love talking about this. So triggers, displaced anger, stressors. There are all negative emotions that you're feeling. Literally, something might have triggered you, such as somebody yelling, somebody screaming, your environment. And it could be all about, how you grew up, what happened to make you feel that negative, literally negative emotions, such as, your ears ring when somebody screams at you and it hurts. Or,
Right.
your stomach, like you said, my stomach started to ache and, I couldn't get over it. And it really started to bother me, which made me, have other issues, because triggers that negative emotion leads to how I'm going to think, right? So
Right.
all those triggers, so you explain it, those triggers happen, that displaced anger from whatever the situation. You could have had a car accident or something that gives you displaced anger because it led to you not being able to work, being laid off, not being able to pay your bills, lose. So everything seems like it's happened right after, right after, right after, right after, which gives you a negative momentum. So all that negativity of that trigger, that anger, that stressor, all can be intertwined or interchanged, causes you to have that thought, right? That negative thought. And what we call that in the therapy world is cognitive distortions.
Okay.
Thinking, right?
Teach us, baby. Teach us.
They call it stinking thinking, all those things. My negative thinking. I'm assuming the worst. People that always think negative, assuming the worst. They don't even
Yes.
know what's gonna happen. They done
Yes.
already told you.
Yes. And having that mindset that someone is always out to get you. I used to have that mindset. I was in high school. I remember I was working at Popeyes, and at that point in time, I had got into some trouble, right? And I was like, man, something's always happening. Somebody's always out to get me. And it was just having that negative thought,
Mhm.
those triggers, displaced anger that I didn't know how to deal with or even who to go speak to. So now that I can look back and the growth that has happened, the better experience in life that has happened, I was like, no, as part of life, and it's all in your mental. It starts with your thinking, with everything. Once you wake up, so you go to sleep, even while you sleep. It all starts with your thinking.
It definitely all starts with your thoughts. And then it all comes together. Then it leads to your feelings. How you feeling? Mad, angry, upset, whatever it is that leads to your physical sensations. I'm tired, I'm losing my concentration. I can't sleep. All those
Yes.
things are tied to, which leads to the behavior of how you're going to react. I'm about to isolate myself, right? I'm about to use drugs and alcohol. I'm about to neglect the necessity things I need to do in life, all because that trigger, that
Yes.
stressor, that displaced anger has made this big cycle. And it keeps going
They keep,
and going
yes.
and going.
Yes. So, and I want to, I guess I want to pause right there because that is a lot in one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have another question kind of relate to what I want to ask, but how do you help someone who wants to, I guess, what's the correct way to say it? To retrain their thoughts with the triggers, in the negative triggers into positive triggers. What would you tell someone? How would that happen for them?
Well, in our language, we do cognitive restructuring.
Okay.
In their language, we said we have to challenge our thoughts, right? So as that trigger, anger, whatever it is, stressor starts, at that point, you have to challenge your thought. Like, what evidence do I have that's really saying that this is happening, right? In this moment, like it might have happened previously, and that's why the trigger came. But
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, what evidence do I have that I'm assuming the worst? What evidence? If I don't have any evidence, I have to stop myself in the moment and tell myself, acknowledge what I'm saying or what I'm doing. That's the big thing. I always tell people, you acknowledge everything that comes about, whether it's positive or negative. I always tell them your feelings are real. You just have to acknowledge it. Oh, I'm thinking negative. And some
Yes.
and it's hard sometimes. You have to learn how to do it. You have to practice. Like you said, your mind leads everything. Your mind is a muscle. It learns something and it continue to learn it until you teach it how to unlearn it.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
So
Look, I'm all excited. I'm ready to take notes. I feel like I'm in a session right now. So I appreciate that information. I know the viewers does as well. So our next question is, have you experienced a time in your life where you were unaware of your mental health?
yes, that's why I'm here.
So please share with us honestly, like how did you one okay, I know something is not correct.
Yes.
I'm feeling these things and I know why, but I don't know how to create a better situation for myself. What was that journey like for you?
Whew. So growing up, I was an angry little girl, like angry, and I took all of my anger out just due to family dynamics, like mom and dad not in my life, being raised by my grandmother, wondering why my parents are not here and I have to live with my grandma. Granted, I love my grandmother; she's the best thing since sliced bread, and I would do anything for her. But as a kid, you just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout life, I just held it in, like I just held it in, just continue to go, use basketball as a navigation to make it. Like I'm going to put all my anger and everything into basketball. So I really never had that chance to like work through those issues. And so as I went to college on a full basketball scholarship.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Ooh, I made it." Granted, I never really thought that I was going to make it any further than college because I really wasn't thinking like that. Could I have? Probably, but I just made it because I knew it was going to be free. And then I can go on to be a doctor or whatever it is. And my grandmother didn't have to pay for it.
So you understood the assignment of what you had to do.
Absolutely. I understood the assignment. So I get to the assignment. And so I always tell people our life is like a cabinet. And I always say this as an give an example. Our life is like a cabinet, a drawer, or a closet. We continue to stuff stuff in there and never pull it out to clean the closet out. So we continue to stuff. After a while, that drawer gonna break, that closet gonna break, or that cabinet gonna break, or something's gonna leak out. because
Right.
you never did any work to fix it, right? You never took the time to rearrange stuff, work through stuff, or anything in that nature. So as I went to college, I said, whew, I made it. So stuff started to come out of my closet because
Oh
I
my
feel like
goodness.
I'm okay. But as that stuff started to come out my closet, it affected my playing on the court. And so one day we were in basketball practice and we were having like 2 a days, 3 a days. I don't know what it was. After a while, I had the worst practice of my life. I was ready to go. I was angry. I was cussing in my head. I'm like, F this, I don't want to be here. And so I guess my coach, who's like my dad now, he is my dad.
Mhm.
He put everybody in the middle of the court, like, we having a bad practice. What's going on? Who don't want to be here? I said, me.
She admitted to it.
Oh, you don't want to be here? Oh, well, you can just leave practice and go to your room and think about your scholarship.
Wow.
I go to my room, and obviously my cousin was on my team too, and we went to high school together. And so all the teammates, because I was a freshman, all the teammates was like, "Is she serious?" And my cousin was like, "Oh no, she dead serious. She gone." And so as I'm staying in a room, I'm crying. I'm like boohoo crying because I'm like, I can lose my scholarship all because I didn't want to do something, all because I'm angry. And I was angry because I spoke with my mom and I just went to practice and didn't even think about it. But those were the emotions that I was feeling.
Right. Those was that that was a trigger.
That was a trigger, a stressor
Yes.
that I didn't work through. And from that moment on, I knew that I had to do something different or I wasn't going to make it to the end of the assignment. I made it to the assignment, but I
Right.
needed to make it to the end of the assignment. And so that's when I was in psychology class. At first, I disliked it. I couldn't even pass. I said, I'm not passing this class. And then I just started reading the book. I said, oh, I like this. And so I just started working and working and working. So that's when I knew like I need to work on myself.
No, that's very good. And it's thank you for sharing that information as well, because we noticed that certain people, certain things can just kind of overtake us sometime, and fighting through that, how to get through that. Like if I wake up feeling fine one morning, get a call, like, and it kind of just would set the tone for my day, and I will allow it to. Then I'm at work, going off on patients, going off on my coworkers. They're like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nothing." Like, "No, something wrong with you." And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yo, yeah, something is wrong with me." And then being mature enough, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, this happened." So, and when we take it out on things that we shouldn't take it out on,
Mm-hmm.
and you were in practice about to lose your scholarship, ma'am.
Exactly. Have
But
to
at least you had the opportunity to remove yourself before maybe it did get worse, and realize what is going on and what is the situation, how to handle it and move forward.
yeah, I mean, I had a natural consequence too because he made me run like 30 16s. And in sports, that's the worst thing you can ever run in your life. And I had to do all of them before I got back on the court. I said,
Oh
I'll never do
wow.
this again ever in
Oh
life.
wow. Wow, wow. And look, did your teammates, how you see on the movies when you do something bad, your teammates come
Uh,
out with you support? Did that happen?
no, they made me run it all by myself.
you they was like, nah, we don't want to do that one.
Yeah, and they said, no, she gonna learn today in my Kevin Hart voice.
And you did, yes. Well, look, I'm glad you got through that experience and learned from it, and made it. And that's something that you can use to help. And I'm sure you probably do use to help with your clients to get over things and to just give them analogy. So I do have this next question. Do you agree that displaced anger is often rooted from a person's past, present, or future events that haven't happened yet?
All the above. Because whatever happens in your past, if you haven't worked through it, you bring it to your present. If you still haven't worked through, it's going to affect your future. So you might that door that was supposed to be open might not be open for your future because you ain't worked through that displaced anger that you had from your present or your past. And it didn't give you that position to make you who you needed to be to walk through that door. So you have to work through it, get through it, manage it, and understand that if it happens again, I already got the tools because I didn't work through it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. If not, you're going to keep on that same cycle
Same cycle.
over and over until you get it right.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. What are some healthy coping mechanisms to deal with stress, anger, or anxiety?
Man, there are 50 million thousand coping skills. And I
Give
always
us your top few.
yeah, no. So I always say it like this because many people be like, coping skills don't work. Some people will say that coping skills don't work. And I said, well, you chose the wrong coping skill. So you have to continue to find that coping skills that is going to work for you.
Right.
And it might take you a couple times and it might work for that moment. And then it might not work the next time, which means you have to find another one.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the coping skills, like I said, there could be so many, but a lot of people use breathing techniques. That's a coping skill, whether it's box breathing, the count of 4. You breathe in your nose on a count of 4, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Then you hold it for 4, account 4. And then you breathe out your mouth, account 4. And so as you do that continuously, your heart rate starts to decrease because you're starting to center, become focused, have a foundation. Right. And so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for changes in the dynamics of how you're feeling. If you can feel that, then that's a coping skill that you need to use in that particular situation. I like adult coloring for adults. Coloring is the most relaxing coping skill you can ever do, because you have the strokes of the crayon, the pencil, you focusing on, I got to make sure I color inside the line. So now you making your mind distract away from whatever the issue is. Mm-hmm. Now, coping skill is just for that moment, right? I got to distract. That issue is still going to be there if you don't know how to understand. I need to work through that issue. Unless it's out of your control, well, if it's out of your control, you just can't control it.
Out of your control. That's right. Let it go.
Let it go. But if it's in your control, you have to sit and talk to yourself. What do I need to change to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And then the last coping skill that really helps is to keep you and hone you. We call it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's easy. You do 5 things you can see right where you're at, because it starts to help you focus.
Okay.
You do 4 things you can touch. Literally, you might say, I can touch my leg. I can touch the chair if you're sitting in the chair. You might have some paper or something around that you can feel the texture of it. 3 things I can hear, and that makes you hone into your sound.
Yes.
2 things I can smell, and then 1 thing I can taste.
You know what? You just gave me my nugget, ma'am. Thank you. That's it right there. Yes, 5, 4. I got it. Yes, I love that one, Yolanda. Make sure you get that one in the comments, please. But you know what? My daughter, she was in athletics, and at one point in time, she had to go through her breathing treatments to control her breathing. And she was like, "Mom, my coach said, smell the flowers, and then blow out the candle." So that is one technique that I've been using. I was like, oh, that sounds so simple. And to think about it, I was like, that's a very good tool. But I love the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to repeat it. Tell me again.
All right. So you do 5 things you can see. You do 4 things you can hear. Or 4 things you can touch. My bad. I always get them mixed up. 4 things you can touch.
Okay.
3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
Okay, that is and that just helps you get back centered and focused on like right now. Mm-hmm. I like that. That's a very good one. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yes. So, what advice would you give to a person who is having a hard time dealing with their mental health? For the person who is open to help, and then the person who say, I don't need help.
I like challenges. I love the people who say, I don't need help, because I'm like the nagging person on your window.
Oh,
Lord. When you're ready, I'll be here. But while you're waiting, make sure you understand that if it's not in your control, you can't control it. If it is in your control, we can change it. So I'm going to always be that person. I'm never going to push somebody to therapy, but I'm going to let you know having a great foundation on your mental health will make your life so much easier.
Yes.
So I'm going to motivate you to understand that getting some assistance with your mental health, whether you come to me professionally or you see me on the streets, every time I see you, you better hope we don't ever see each other a lot of times, because I'm going to keep asking you and keep talking to you and saying, how's that going? What did you do? Did you think about it? I'm going to ask you probing questions to the point where you're not going to think you are in therapy, but you are still getting therapy in some sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to continue to, advocate that you get the assistance that you need, because once you get that assistance, your whole life will change. But for those people who love and want to get help, I'm all arms and ears. Come on. I like people that's like, so what do I got to do next? Do I got some homework today? Can we talk about that? I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Now you tell me, because then you can teach me. The whole purpose is for me to guide you so that you can teach me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to guide you, because I never want to make the choices for you or make the decisions for you. I can give you guidance. I can give you tools, but then you teach me and you tell me what you want to do. So.
You know what? It's like some individuals have been broken for so long, and let me start with myself first. And it gets to a point that I have been excited about healing. I've
Mhm.
been excited about healing because it makes me a better person. I'm more aware of what and who triggers me,
Mhm.
and it's a better foundation for myself, and just being aware of yourself. Like, I think that is very key. We are aware of others and what they do, how they feel, but when you can be aware of yourself but then do the work
Mhm.
to become a healed you and to become a better you, so you can have life more abundantly, it makes it easier. It's an easier course for life. Like I said, we're not gonna skip through the trials, we're not gonna skip through the tribulations, but when you know how to handle, I call them attacks, when you're
Mhm.
able to handle attacks in a safe, non-harmful way, I think that just makes life a little bit better. But
Man.
yes.
And so that brings me to, I'm very spiritual too. So that brings me to, someone sent me, a friend today sent me a scripture, a video, and it says, we can't get to the good without going through the bad. Like,
Okay,
how do you think you can
Romans
do
8:28, my favorite scripture.
you can't get to the good without going through the bad? So why do you think you get these trials, these tribulations? Because God is going to, he wants to see that you can handle it.
That's right.
So when you get to that
Absolutely.
other side, it's a beautiful thing.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? He keeps that thorn in there as well. Like, hey, don't forget. Like, also remaining humble as well, because guess what? Any day you can get it. And will you pass the test when it comes?
Yes. Practice the sense of gratitude. Tell people all the time, I might be healed and I'm so happy that I am, but I practice a sense of gratitude, because I can go back at any day, but I thank God that, or whomever, I thank God, I thank my situation, I thank myself that I am here, and I can continue to be thankful for the things that I do have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Dr. Hutchins, does Serene Counseling and Wellness offer virtual appointments?
Yes, we offer virtual, in person. We do it all, because I feel like I'm supposed to be for the world. Like, I can't let my talents just stay in Ohio. So we do offer virtual. We have coaching, we have counseling, we have consulting, we have all the above. So virtual, especially after COVID, you got to
That
offer.
was my next question. Everything became virtual. Like, look at us now with this platform and be able to do things like this. You're in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm in Houston, Texas. But through virtual assistance here, we are able to come on one platform
Mhm.
and reach millions of people, thousands of people. So yes, virtual assistant is available. And Dr. Hutchins, how can others connect with you?
I am known as the mindologist on social media. And so when you just think about it, like, oh, I want to know what Dr. Hutchins doing. What is her name? Oh, she's psychology, the study of the mind. I'm the mindologist.
That is her, yes. And you know what? Look, let me tell you how funny this is. I had a whole not skit, introduction that I was going to do with the monologist when we got on here. But of course, that didn't happen. And you know what? Doing this unapologetically afraid. And again, I want to express my gratitude and say thank you because this is very new for me, and I just appreciate all the support of the women who has been on the podcast, who want to be on the podcast, so want to just uplift and share their stories and see how they can help others by just bridging the gap. And I appreciate that from you.
Absolutely. Love it. Like you're doing amazing. So keep it going.
Okay,
So
to God be the
if
glory.
you need those affirmations, I will send them to you because I affirm myself and I
Please,
affirm others
please
because
do.
you're doing great. Because women, like I said, we do it all, but absolutely coming together is one thing that makes us the strongest.
That's absolutely correct.
And
Yes.
so it's absolutely amazing. So I appreciate you always, reaching out, asking, like, you want to be on the podcast again, or we can talk about this.
Please, are you available? Look, and you know what? Speaking of that, I did see that you are hosting a workshop in July.
Mhm.
So please share with us, what does that entail and how can people sign up for it?
Absolutely. So I'm offering a mental health series. So it starts June 27th, where we start off going over mental health 101, understanding crisis, understanding mental health, what it is, what to look for. And then we navigate into July, where we go into intergenerational trauma, understanding trauma from generations to come and how it can affect you for your past, present, and future. And how can we give you some tools so that you can break that trauma, right? And then we go into August where we talk about grief, how to manage grief, resources and tips. We go through grief, a grief cycle, and people really don't know how to get out of it. And so understanding that grief is not just something that's going to stop, it's a lifetime. You can miss somebody for a long time, but how
Yes.
can you manage that?
Yes.
And then in September, we go into advocating, how to be an advocate for your loved one who is, who has mental health, because you truly have to be an advocate. What, where, high, when, have absolutely amazing speakers. It's not just going to be me. I'm doing the first one, but I got speakers to do all the other ones because I want to make sure I give you all the good stuff. Like I want to make sure that you get that good stuff. And then we end in October with the Serene Wellness Summit. And that's a
Wow.
whole summit about wellness. We talk about, mental health and athletes, mental health and how it affects your physical health, mental health and spiritual health, suicide prevention, mental health and nutrition, like how it all correlates. So it all ends there so that we can just do it again the next year and have a whole year so people can understand that once you navigate and understand your mental health and be intentional, just like you be
Absolutely.
intentional watching your TV shows and binge watching your movies. You need to be intentional on binge, fixing your mental health. So,
That is amazing, Dr. Hutchins. So, and this is online?
the mental health series are online,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go to my link tree which is in my bio at the Mindologist, and you can reserve your spot for the virtual. But the summit is in person. I'm thinking about having a virtual portion because people are like, you need to do virtual. I'm like,
Is it cold in October?
it's getting there.
Is
But
it
I'm going
cold in
the week
October?
the week before the summit. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in Houston because I'm coming to your vending thing.
Yes.
I told my team, I said, we're gonna be here. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna be here. So
Amen.
let's get
Yes.
it together.
Oh, good, good. Now I'm super excited. Yes. So I will definitely share the summit information, the course on our social media as well, just to give people an avenue to connect with you and just to see how they can learn. Like, I love your style. I love your personality. Like I said, when we first had the first podcast, it was so genuine, and people was like, "Do you know her?" Never met her a day in my life. This is our second time meeting,
Yeah.
and the relationship is just getting better, and it's cultivating into a great one. So again, I definitely appreciate you being on, and looking forward to meeting you in October. And then we're just going to keep supporting one another. Y'all,
Absolutely.
this has been our first session of Mental Health Awareness Month. Y'all, forgive me for being nervous. I feel like I still have to say that, but this is just a part of it. When you're putting yourself out there to want to help yourself and to help others, nervousness just comes with it. But we got to push through, and we're going to continue helping others deal with their mental health, be aware of their mental health, and finding a good outlet to help them. And that leads me to this next segment. I just want to read. If you or someone you know is in a crisis now, make sure you seek immediate attention. Call 911, of course, but you're also a 24/7 crisis center where you could call 1-800-273-TALK. And someone is available 24/7. If you are in a great state of mind but know you need help, please go over to, what's your website, Dr. Hutchins?
www.serenecounselingandwellness.com.
There you go. And that's it. And we are just here to help. We are here to make sure that you be the best versions of yourself. And that starts with your mental health. Have a great night. Dr. Hutchins, thank you again for being on. And we are done.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you have a good night, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. You too.
Bye.
Bye.